So the first thing to do with this little tree painting is to give the entire canvas a coat of raw umber with some acrylic medium. This gives a nice imprimatura to paint onto the top of instead of painting on a white canvas. Okay, now I'm just with raw umber and this large bristle brush, I'm just putting in the basic composition. So I'm going to have a bank of soil there, and this is going to be the shadow area of a tree. Just there, that's roughly the shape of a tree with some more bank area there and then some more little bushes in the background. Just there like that. Perhaps one or two other little bushes here and there. That's basically it. That is the first stage underpainting. So I'm keeping this very simple with a simplified palette. So I'm only using titanium white, Payne's grey, raw umber, burnt sienna and yellow ochre. That's all I'm using. And really what I'm doing now is with this old bristle brush, I'm just putting in with white and a tiny little bit of titanium, tiny bit of Payne's grey. I'm just putting in the sky colour. So Payne's grey in this instance is my blue colour. The burnt sienna is my red and the yellow ochre is my yellow. Those are my three primary colours. So you can see it's not a bright blue, it's a subtle grey blue. That's what Payne's grey, a good Payne's grey colour should do. Give you a nice mid sort of bluish tone without being bright. Because I'm mixing it here with earth colours. The yellow ochre and the burnt sienna and the raw umber are earth colours. So Payne's grey just matches with those perfectly. And will tend to give you, at the end of the day, a result that's very reminiscent of old master style paintings. Because they had to use earth colours a lot because they were easier to get hold of and much cheaper than some of the brighter colours like ultramarine and vermilion. And they didn't have cadmium yellow in those days either, I don't think, so none of the cadmiums. Okay, so I'm putting in the basic shadow areas now with this old brush. It's a cheap bristle flat brush. I mean, a very cheap, about £1 for something like this. So for those of you in the US, about $1 for something like that. You don't need expensive brushes for this kind of work. In fact, the cheaper and the rougher they are, the better, because they produce interesting marks. I'm not looking to create accurate, really refined marks. I'm not trying to do that with this kind of painting. This is an Impressionist painting. So I'm creating the impression of sunlight on soil, sunlight on leaves. I'm not trying to paint the actual stones in the soil or each individual leaf. I'm just doing the impression of them. In other words, it allows the viewer to make their own mind up as to how they see it. This bank of soil I'm doing here is just loosely put in, without me having to be photorealistic about it. So somebody will see that in a completely different way that another viewer may see it. Everyone will have their own way of making sense of what these shapes and colours are about. And in a way, they make up their own painting in their mind. And that's what's the beauty of Impressionist style painting is. And anybody can do it. And especially if you can limit yourself to simple colours like I'm doing here. Just put away all those hundreds of other colours that you've got. You don't need them. In fact, you could just do this as a monochrome. It might be a good way to do something like this as an example and an exercise, is to do a painting like this just with raw umber and white. Because the raw umber as white is originally what the old masters used to use as an underpainting. they'd do an entire underpainting in raw umber and white until it was absolutely finished. And then they would glaze over the top with colour, because the glazes were thinner and therefore the paint went a lot further. It was more economical. The bright coloured paint, it was much more economical to use the bright colours in that way. So that's why they painted, well, one of the reasons why they painted in glazes and layers like that. The other reason is you get a great vibrancy of light with a glaze than you do with an alla prima applied colour. So I'm just putting some little sky holes in here. These are little holes in the foliage where the light is visible beyond the tree or through the tree. So I'll put some more up here and I'll put some elsewhere dotted around, mainly towards the edges. You don't tend to get so many sky holes in the middle of a tree because that's where it's densest, but around the outer edges are where the leaves are the thinnest. So you're going to see more sky through those areas. Okay, back to the Payne's grey and white for the sky, because that first layer has dried now. So I can now apply the second layer. And this time when I'm applying it, it goes on in a much smoother fashion. It's nicer to apply. And you'll find this as you go along with acrylics. The more layers you apply, the latest layer becomes even nicer to apply and produces a smoother result. Okay, I'm just going to warm up, get a nice little pinkish tone for this soil. So a little bit of burnt sienna, and that white will give me those light areas. And I can darken it and add a little bit of raw umber into that just to soften it and give it a little bit more of a delicate hue or a neutral tone rather than being bright burnt sienna, which I don't particularly want. I want it to be relatively muted. Okay, this is another old worn brush I'm using. I do tend to use old worn brushes because they have an interesting character to them. You know what you're going to get with a brand new brush. It's going to be flat and square and pointed or whatever. But with an old worn brush, you can get a variety of different brush strokes out of it. So don't ever throw your old brushes away. Keep them and just keep using them and experiment with them. Play with your brushes a lot. Find out what each brush will do. Because each brush can do a multitude of different brush strokes, depending on how you use it. So experiment with it. Okay, I'm just putting some blue tones in here. That's the Payne's grey and white into these areas because these are lighter areas of the shadow that the tree is casting, and also onto the soil area there as well. Now a little bit of the yellow ochre and the white, tiny bit of Payne's grey in there, just to give me some lighter areas. Perhaps I need to go darker with that. Some lighter areas in those, in the foliage of the tree. And think of them as shapes. As you notice, I'm painting over a lot of those sky holes. It doesn't matter because some of them will still show through, but I will apply others later on. But try and think of these shapes in the foliage as shapes, not as, oh, there's a whole lot of leaves there, I've got to paint every little leaf. No, you don't. You just have to paint the shape. Simplify it. Make it simple in your own mind what that shape is. So I'm just putting the same sort of thing into these bushes in the side here, in the background. Blending and making them a little bit lighter at the top as they reach the sky area. Now I can just put some tree hole shapes in with this colour as well to show that that bush is behind the tree. A few little lighter areas there on those. and then get some light again back into this soil. And you can see that I'm using this old brush just to put in these very, very broad shapes. I'm trying to use the brush in a very broad manner and be bold with it. That's one thing about Impressionist style painting, is being bold with your brushstroke. Try not to be too timid when applying it. And the way to do this is to learn to paint more quickly, paint faster. You will have no option but to paint bold. Don't deliberate for 10 minutes over one little brushstroke. That's not how you paint Impressionist. It will take you forever to do that. If you learn to be bold and quick, your painting will come on in leaps and bounds. Just experiment, practice. Have a go on a scrap piece of paper or whatever. It doesn't matter. On an old painting. If it doesn't work for you the first time, you paint over it. You let it dry and you just paint another painting over the top of it. Experiment. That's the way to learn with acrylic painting, as in all painting and all art forms. Just experiment. Find out what works for you. So I'm putting the lights now back into this sky, but even lighter still towards the bottom. I'll just put some lights there as well. And I'll sort of slowly blend that up into that grey tone there. So I want it lighter towards the bottom area. Okay, like that. Now I'll redo the branches in a moment. I'll do those before we end. Just a few little scrubbed in marks there in the sky to make it look like there's clouds or whatever. I can add a little bit of yellow ochre into that as well, just to create a different variety of colour. I'll just make that a little bit lighter there, because this side of the painting needs to be lighter than the other side, because the light is coming from this direction. So I'm just making that a little bit lighter. And then getting the Payne's grey and white to blend that into the darker area. So only slightly. It's only very, very subtle. But it makes all the difference. Okay, I'll just re-establish that a little bit more. Making it brighter. And that's better. You may have to go over light areas several times for them to stay light, because they will darken as they dry. Most acrylic paints will do that, and they will sink in. So you have to maybe go over them 3 or 4 times before they are as bright as you want them to be. So, not far off the end now. I'm just putting a couple of little, just move that around with my finger. Use your fingers if you want to. There's no rules that you can't break. Once you learn them. Learn the rules, then you can break them. That's what I was always taught. Okay, just putting those tree holes back in again now with this little brush. And I'll put them in where I've painted over them. Again, 1 or 2 are still showing, but this just helps to make the tree look a little bit more realistic, really, without painting realism. I'll do some over here as well, on this edge. Mainly on the edges, as I said earlier. Like that. A little bit of yellow ochre and white now, just for some really light highlights on the soil. Perhaps a little bit of the burnt sienna in there as well. And create the effect of what could be grasses, without me actually painting grasses. And then a splayed bristle technique there to paint some of those. And then that's more or less it now. I'm just going to get a liner brush or a rigger brush and go over some of these branches now, once again, and then that's the painting finished. If you have enjoyed this video and hopefully found it interesting and entertaining, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Be sure to click on the little bell icon if you wish to be notified of my latest videos. I am always interested in your questions and comments, and I do try to answer every one of them. Hopefully I will see you on my next painting video, so until then, Have a lovely day and happy painting!